Results are in, Teddy. Not if anybody's pregnant here, but the results are in for Klay Thompson, and his hamstring injury is a mild strain. KD, question marks on him. We'll get to that a little bit later. But also, Teddy, the Blues tie up the Bruins with the NBA Finals just 24 hours away. Hot topics of the day. Let's get started. As we said, the MRI is in. Strained hamstring. Teddy, we've seen this many times. Athletes, no big deal. Just a tweak. I'll be ready to go. Somehow missing weeks at a time here. Klay Thompson, one of the tougher guys in the NBA, known for his defense, Teddy. So just because he might be out there doesn't mean he's going to be effective. Kevon Looney already confirmed to be out for this game. Updates on Durant and also Thompson a little bit later today once those Golden State Warriors practice. Interesting stuff here, Teddy, because when we look at the prices here, Warriors still a prohibitive favorite, minus 290. And I want to ask you the question again. It rose to minus 6 today with the Warriors, Teddy, backing down a little bit of 5.5. Do you agree with that number?
Look, it's a really fascinating game 3 in a lot of different ways. Let's talk about the injuries first, all right? Looney matters. Looney is not a guy who, you can just fill him in with another guy and it's no big deal. And especially in a series where Steve Kerr has gone to his bench and a series where Steve Kerr is looking to play big. They're not playing small ball here. Green's been at the 4. Green hasn't been at the 5. He's at the 4. So when you lose a stretch 5, it's an impact injury for Golden State, even though it's not going to affect this point spread one iota. We look at the number now, and it's bounced, depending on where you're betting right now, it's going to be 5.5 or 6. Obviously, one of the reasons we like sportsbookreview.com is because you have options to get all kinds of sports books there. If you want to lay 5.5, find a book offering 5.5 and set up an account. Not that hard to do, obviously, with our sponsor and with our, the guys that pay our bills at sportsbookreview.com. Take advantage of them in a situation like this, where you definitely want to get the best of the number, regardless of which side that you have. But Klay Thompson matters too. Kevin Durant, in theory, would matter a lot. Gimpy Thompson, he's a tough guy. I expect him to play. He said he's going to play, but his effectiveness very much in question. That being said, what's Toronto's psyche like coming off a blown lead, which has been a problem for them? And it's not like the Raptors have been great at bouncing back off a loss here in the postseason. Each of the last 3 times they've lost, they failed to cover the number their next time out.
Teddy, just talking for because I'm not a huge NBA gambler, but sometimes I like to read between the lines and just say, you know what, this just makes sense here and apply it to some other sports. Because when we look at this game coming up, you're saying, all right, if Kevin Durant does come back, Teddy, are we looking at him playing 30-plus minutes after sitting out a full month with a calf injury that he could re-injure again? Also with Klay Thompson, just like I said, just being out there. You're a professional athlete. You're going to run miles on that court on a tough hamstring, and he's known for playing really good defense, which that's going to affect his quick moves and laterals going left and right. Just looking at the game overall, and the line opens up 5.5, climbs up to 6. Is that a little bit of a signal saying, boy, this is really like a Golden State line? Because just being a square the way I'm looking at it right here, it looks too good to be true to take 6.
Well, I mean, when you look at the wise guys in this series, first 2 games, wise guys were clearly on Toronto. It was a sharp square divide in those games. When we saw the game 3 open at 5 at some books and immediately get up to 5.5, and a lot of books go up to 6, it tells us that the love that the wise guys had for Toronto in Toronto hasn't necessarily carried over to game 3 in Golden State. This game's getting two-way action among sharp bettors. The public, they still like Golden State.
Yeah, we'll see. Teddy and I will both go over this game tomorrow once we head for the next game. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on those numbers. Obviously, check SBRodds.com for all the latest movements. Play Gloria, Teddy. Taking you back to your heyday here. Blues bounce back and tie up the Bruins at 2 with a 4-2 victory at home. Now we shift to a best of 3 as it moves back to Boston. Taking a look at some of those lines, opening up the Bruins, minus 155. But how about that series price, Teddy? Minus 139 with the Blues at a plus 118. And how about this? 3 of the 4 finals games have gone over, and the only one that didn't go over had 4 goals in the first period.
Yeah, that was the worst beat of the playoffs, or one of the worst beats of the playoffs in the NHL, if you had that over. But last night's game over on the empty netter. Those are, one of the reasons why I don't get involved in hockey is because there are so many empty net goals that affect a whole lot of things in the last minute or 2 of a ball game or a hockey game. And obviously, the empty netter last night turned unders into losers and overs into winners. And I mean, St. Louis, 5-0 in the playoffs when they score in the opening 2 minutes of the game. if you're live betting these contests, might be something to consider, especially after Binnington's nice bounce back last night. St. Louis real good off a loss here in the postseason, something to perhaps consider if they lose again between now and Game 7. Well, there wouldn't be a Game 7 if they lose again between now and Game 6.
There you go. Hey, Teddy, look, NHL season's winding down. The NBA's winding down. The NFL just heating up. We're still months away from NFL action, but we're going to get right into it here. How about the 2019 NFL season team preview today on That Betting Show? Going to be those Baltimore Ravens. How about the Ravens, Teddy? 25-1 as a ticket to win the 2019 championship. 14-1 to win the AFC. And the Ravens team total set at 8.5 plus 115. That's available at DraftKings here in New Jersey. Ravens finished up last year 10-6 after going 3-3 in the North. They had a nice run to end the season, Teddy, winning 6 of 7 games. Now, look, I like innovative football, and sometimes you have to throw it back. I thought the running game was interesting. It was the way it was working for the Ravens down the stretch, which was a lot of fun to watch and say, boy, how much longer can this go on? But we all saw once they got to the playoffs there, the destruction. Now, the final score didn't indicate it, and the Ravens even had a shot at the end of the football game with a couple miracle plays to actually win that game. But if you watch the first 3.5 quarters, it was clear it was a Chargers game. The one question I have is the NFL, the defensive coordinators, Teddy, they are smart. They're going to watch the entire offseason and try to shut this team down because, as we know, Lamar Jackson, an electric athlete in the pocket, but not quite passer ready to be in the NFL. They had a nice draft pick there getting Hollywood Brown from Oklahoma to try to revamp that passing game, added Ingram in the backfield because they do want to run the ball. But a complete revamp on the defense this year for those Baltimore Ravens. A lot of guys out, Earl Thomas in. It should be interesting to watch. But, Teddy, I just get back to the old inclusion saying, you know what? I need a quarterback that I know can throw the football and throw with accuracy. I don't know if I'm getting that with Lamar Jackson. Big year for him in the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, look, Baltimore has been one of the most consistent franchises in the NFL. No, they don't have the Patriots Super Bowl titles. But when you talk about an organization that's been run the right way, that has been consistently in the playoffs year in, year out, that's Baltimore. And I give Ozzie Newsome all the credit for that. I mean, Newsome and Harbaugh, but Newsome's the guy who built that roster. And as a GM, this is his first offseason where he wasn't there for Baltimore. Does that matter? Maybe. I mean, the guy was an absolute genius at personnel. So then we talk about, what happened last year. How'd they get to the playoffs again last year? They were 0.5 yards per play, better than their opponents. Every snap, they outgained their opponents by half a yard. Rushing, they were 0.8 yards per rush better than their opponents. Stopped the rush very well, ran the football well. Quarterback play was dicey. Flacco, let's put it this way. He's in Denver for a reason right now. Jackson, they both had QB ratings of 84, but obviously Flacco was a statue, and Jackson could move and make plays with his legs, which was a big difference for a team that didn't have a whole lot of receiving talent. They finished the year -3 in turnovers, nothing big there. They had a league average schedule. This year's schedule also are right around league average. But we talk about a franchise that has been very, very consistent. There's a lot of changes this offseason. There really are. Obviously, you change the GM. Marty Mornhinweg out at offensive coordinator. Greg Roman coming in. And Mornhinweg, a passing game expert. Roman's the run game guru. New position coaches for wide receivers and running backs. Harbaugh's quote, that talking about his new coaches on offense, that's the direction we need to go from the way our offense is going to be built from the ground up. We need to start with the running game, then build in the play action pass, then the drop back pass, kind of build around our quarterback and what he brings to the table going forward. That's Lamar Jackson. So this is a team that lost a lot in the offseason. You talk about Terrell Suggs, C.J. Mosley, Zadarius Smith, Eric Weddle, all bye-bye. I mean, they bring in Earl Thomas, but they didn't really spend a whole lot in free agency this year. Mark Ingram, obviously a big addition. In the draft, you talk about Hollywood Brown, a handful of key skill position players. They could have all 5 offensive linemen back this season, but that defense lost a lot. They only have 3 receivers on the roster that have ever caught an NFL pass so far. They lost 15.5 sacks in the offseason. I got questions about inside linebacker, and, they're going to need to run the football. I'm not bullish on Baltimore going into 2019. If I'm going to bet the Ravens season win total, I'll be looking at the under, which is something I can't think of. I think I did it once 8 years ago and didn't win. Different era now with Baltimore. This team primed to take a step back in 2019.